Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Mike.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Nate.
And this is The Wise Guys.
The Wise Guys?
The Wise Men.
Okay.
But it just,
So we're not talking about mobsters.
well, we don't really know what they did for a living before they decided to seek out the Savior. But presumably they were not members of an Italian-American criminal organization that would not exist for over a millennium.
No, and most people tend to think that they were, royal astronomers type thing.
Exactly. So, we are here to talk about, on this Feast of the Epiphany, the three wise men. Now, several things. First of all, the numbers. Nate, does the Bible tell us that there were three of them?
No.
So why do we think that there were three?
Well, we think that there were three because the Bible does tell us of three gifts. And while it is entirely possible that more people came and brought gifts of lesser significance to the Bible story, or brought the same gifts.
Oh, how embarrassing. You brought gold? I brought gold too.
It was really just sort of convenient for particularly for Christmas card makers. Mm-hmm. To really just sort of stick with. It's not just Christmas cards. There's other reasons for it.
Yes, because they also did it because it was a good symbolism, and we all know the Bible likes symbolism. Because at the time there were three worlds, so there was
Asia, Europe, and Africa.
Yes. So there's also the idea that each came from separate places and happened to meet up sometime in Israel before going all together. Which might explain the gift repeats.
Well, because we all know that in the pre-modern Christian mindset, Jerusalem was the center of the world. So people came from all corners of the earth to, not the center because it's Bethlehem, but it's within a couple miles. Close to the center.
It's all very close together.
Yeah. And, of course, the great symbolism of the wise men, or as those of us who are used to the New American Bible, the magi, is, hi, I'm not ethnically Jewish, but here are these Gentiles acknowledging the King of the Jews.
Yes.
Because, as we know from way, way back, Abraham, and then all the way through, meant to be a blessing for the entire world. So it was never just about the nation of Israel. It was about bringing all of us into the new Israel. But having done the basics of that story, there's one thing I really wanted to talk about the wise men.
Okay. Is it elephants?
I do love elephants.
Is it they're not leaving the same way they came?
That's going to tie into it.
Okay.
Is it them taking up to 2 whole years to find this place?
Totally reasonable. If you have to travel over long distances by semi-domesticated animal, it's going to take a while. Plus, maybe they had to wait for a convenient caravan. And you just missed one. Next one's not going to be for another 13 months.
Also, there wasn't really all that good of an indication as to when the star appeared. Simply that when they saw the star appear, that led them to seek out the new king.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was like here, and it was cloudy that day.
There was a conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. It happened on December 21st. It was very exciting. It was the biggest conjunction, or it's supposed to be the most spectacular conjunction since the time of St. Thomas Aquinas in 800 years. So, of course, here in Michigan, it was cloudy that day.
I've seen pictures. It's beautiful, but it would have been more beautiful if I could have seen it from a backyard.
We're not big astronomy buffs because this is the cloudiest state in the Union. You can almost never see the stars.
I'm sure once.
I imagine Washington has to have more clouds.
Statistically, this is the cloudiest state in the Union.
They have all the rain.
Yes, but when it's not raining, it's clear there.
True.
Whereas we are used to it being cloudy without rain. In a lot of places, that's unusual.
We do have those whole months where when we see the sun, we're like, what's that?
What's that burning thing in the sky?
Hurts my eyes.
Except it's winter, so it provides no warmth.
Yes. But
anyways.
About the various wise people.
But about the fact that they saw the star at its rising. Again, whatever that was. Some people like to say that it was a natural phenomenon because, of course, God is the author of all natural phenomenon. Others say it was something genuinely supernatural. Regardless.
I say it was both.
That too. Regardless, these guys were paying attention and reading the signs. Let's say they were in the center of learning at the time, which would be Mesopotamia. They had some knowledge of the Jewish scriptures going back to the Babylonian exile, where a lot of this stuff was written down for the first time.
Yes.
They knew that when something big happened, it was pertaining to this curious little people who worshipped only the one God and had their capital in Jerusalem. They were paying enough attention that when they saw this star rising, whoever they were, whether they were royal astronomers, whether they were freelancers, whether they were a bit eccentric, they got up, they gathered their goods, and they went. How many of us are paying that much attention for God active in our lives? How many of us are actively seeking for signs of Him moving? Because God is always moving. He's always working. And a lot of times, I know I am, and maybe I'm just projecting on other people. I know that a lot of times I'm rather passive about it. Just sort of waiting to see what happens instead of actively looking for those signs of God's favor. Now, this is where we come to what Nate mentioned, the fact that they left by a different way. So, they saw the sign, they came, they went to Jerusalem, they, worked with the scholars, people who knew the Bible well, told them, oh, obviously, this guy's going to be born in Bethlehem. They go off and do their errand for Herod. Presumably they don't know how bad a guy he is. And then an angel speaks to them in their dreams. A lot of us often complain, well, God doesn't really talk to me. God doesn't answer my prayers. Notice that they were looking. They were attentive. And they'd really gone out of their way to do what God was asking them to do, to find God's purpose. And once they were so disposed, wherever they were from, some people say, the three corners of the earth. Other people say they were from Persia. Father Longenecker has his weird theory that they were all from Arabia. Wherever they were from, they traveled quite a distance. And when they'd finally gone out of their way, that is when God gave them the vision of the angel in their dreams, warning them of the danger posed by Herod.
It was like a really busy time for angels.
Oh,
They're shepherds, got to go and appear to Joseph a few times.
Think how exciting a time that was for angels. You've been waiting to this forever. For all those who say that the rebellion was caused by by the angels knowing that humans would be above them, this is what they've been waiting for. Oh man, this is like party time for angels. They love this. Guys, this is going to be great. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to appear to those shepherds. Okay, I'm going to go first. I'm going to freak them out. It's going to be great. And then you guys come in. It's going to be great. Ready? Here we go. I don't know if angels have that much fun, but I imagine they do. So, on this Epiphany, as Christmas kind of does and kind of doesn't come to an end, let's all be looking for that star. Maybe it'll be something natural. Maybe it'll be something supernatural.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. And it's when we go searching for what God is doing in our lives, when we don't just sit there waiting, well, maybe if a big miracle appears, maybe if I get a full apparition, then I'll do something. No. That's not the attitude that disposes you to be of any use to God. Again, it all depends on us responding to Him, but we've got to actively be working to find out what He wants from us, to find out His purposes for our lives, and not just in the big broad sense. What good does God want me to do today? And once that is our attitude, and we're willing to, again, not so much in COVID time, but when we're willing to go places and visit people to find God's will, we'll find that then we can much more easily hear His voice, and He'll give us more precise direction in our lives.
Well, given the time, maybe you'll get a message like the Desert Fathers. Go over there where there's no one else. Do some praying.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love what he, the direction He gave to Abraham. Leave your house. Details to follow. Okay. Of course, then he took Lot with him, but that's another topic entirely.
See, I just always like the lesson that Bishop Barron likes to use quite often, which I believe he got from Fulton Sheen originally.
Hey, steal from the best.
Which is that at the end of their visit with Jesus, the angel tells them to leave by a different path. And of course, we know the story. We have at least an idea of why they they were not to go back the way they came.
See our episode on the Holy Innocents.
But at the same time, the point that Bishop Fulton Sheen made was that, of course, they had to leave by another way. Because when you had an encounter with Christ, you can't go back to the way that you were.
Mm-hmm. He always sets you on a new path. What other circumstance is there that would lead Simon, the fisherman, to wind up in Rome, getting crucified upside down?
Well, until the last part, I was going to suggest he becomes really good at fishermanning.
I'm going to go show my fish in Rome. He didn't have refrigeration back then, Jess. There's closer bodies of water. Yeah, but once we encounter God, when we're searching for him, when we have that encounter and we're more attuned to hear his voice, we will always go a different way. It's going to be new and exciting. It's going to be fantastic. So, be a wise guy. Or a wise man. Or a wise woman. Be a wise child. I just like saying wise guy because it always makes me think back to Spaceballs.
Sure.
I've been to every wise man in the galaxy. Wise guys.
So, comment below with what you think the star was. Do you think it was the 2 planets we didn't get to see because it was dark? Do you think it was, something farther out in the sky? Do you always imagine like a literal giant, like your Christmas decoration star with an angel just walking by?
I imagine it looked like an arrow.
Yeah.
Bing, 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 bing.
Like 60s era Vegas, neon lights. Star of Bethlehem.
Son of God. Son of God. Son of God.
Little lights go ding, 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 ding.
Give this episode a like, subscribe to our channel, ring the church bell to be notified the next time one of our plots points to the Son of God.
And until next time, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
And share that love.
We 3 kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar.